It is a very exciting day here on the channel because today marks the first episode of a series about a game that isn't Kerbal Space Program. This is a series about the game Planet Coaster, as if you didn't know that from reading the title or seeing the thumbnail. But this is going to be a series in which we build a theme park, surprisingly enough, called Mirror Lake, and this is episode 1. The Emporium. So we have this sort of blurred out map and different parts will become unblurred for each episode, because as I record this commentary, the entire park is finished, although the episodes themselves are still being made. Obviously, because I'm making episode 1 as I speak, I'm going to stop talking about this. I'm just digging myself a hole now. Speaking of digging holes, we are digging one right now because we are building a lake, because this is going to be a lakeside park. Because I didn't want to make a lakeside park, I wanted to make a coastal park, because those who are perhaps familiar with my channel more than most, because these videos never really got that many views, I've made 2 Roller Coaster Tycoon videos before, and both of these, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 videos I should have said, videos before, and both of these were coastal parks. I don't know why, I just really like making coastal parks. I think I just like having the sort of feature of being able to just look out into the ocean one way and then look to the left and then you see the big theme park. I don't know, I'm not really sure why it is I like making coastal parks, but there you go. I've also made one Planet Coaster theme park before and that wasn't coastal, and neither is this one, just because of the fact that you can't make coasts in Planet Coaster. I think if there's one feature I'd really like them to incorporate into this game, it would be the ability to make coastlines and things, because that would be pretty cool. But alas, that is not the world we live in, so instead I'm building it next to a lake, which is pretty much the same thing, but just not quite as cool. I think we can all agree. Anyway, I thought it'd be kind of nice to have this sort of big bridge at the beginning, as at the entrance. So you come into the park and you cross the big bridge over the lake, and you can see everything in front of you over the water, and that was the thought process. You can see me building it now. I feel like the footage is doing most of the talking for me, so I don't really need to go too much in depth into what I'm doing. In fact, a lot of these, especially these early episodes, a lot of it was me just trying to figure out the actual building controls. I'm so used to Kerbal Space Program's controls. It was quite jarring actually trying to do some of the more fine-tuning stuff in this game. You'll notice me as well, I kind of figuring out what the hotkeys are as you go along. For example, placing billboards and things. If you don't press anything, if you just drag it over to a wall, often it like snaps onto the wall like flat as opposed to flush with the wall, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't go, it kind of goes perpendicular to the surface rather than with the surface. Unless you hold down the letter V, but I didn't figure this out till several buildings in. So in case any of you are sitting there screaming at your monitors watching me do anything in this, that's why. And there might have been a more efficient way of extending that bridge pillar out, but it's not too laggy, and this was far quick. So there's the bridge. So this whole thing, that was probably about 4 hours work. Most of this is time lapsed through, sped ahead, all these cuttings. So do let me know what you think of the editing style for this series. Like I said earlier, I'm making these videos one step at a time, so when this video is uploaded, it will have been the only episode that's been made so far, because I'd love to hear feedback about how you like what you think of the editing. Was this editing good? Was it bad? Could anything be done to make it better? Was it a bit too jarring having these sort of slide transitions like this one here? Don't know. It was kind of an effort to try and cut out all the boring parts of the build process, of which there were quite a few bits where I was just sitting there, oh, do I like this colour? Do I like that colour? And it just went on for far too long. Anyway, this is going to be the mainstay, or the namesake of this episode, the Grand Emporium itself. So my vision for this park was to have the big lakeside path, and then there'd be some shops and stands along the actual waterfront itself. And this is going to be the biggest building. It is called the Emporium, and it's going to be I kind of got inspired a little bit by, if any of my British homies are watching, yes, I use that word ironically, don't judge me, here who might have been to Centre Parks, then that's kind of the inspiration to me from there. Centre Parks, for those that don't know, it's kind of this big tourist chain. Like it's like a hotel park chain. I don't know if there's an equivalent thing in America. There probably is. It's essentially like a small village built in the middle of a forest, and then in the very center of the village is this just giant building with lots of little buildings inside. It's got a big swimming pool, and that's kind of what I went for here. So it's like a really big building. There's a big roller coaster inside, and there's lots of other smaller buildings that are like the shops and things around. I would say buildingception, but I hate that word, and I think it's dumb. Not buildingception, just the suffix "ception" for anything that is something within something else. Like, if the film Inception was made and the film like Inception was already like a meme, they wouldn't say it. That'd be like saying, oh look, Leonardo DiCaprio, it's a dream within a dream. That's dreamception. No, it's not. It's Inception, isn't it? So it's dumb. Anyway, I don't think anyone. So just in case anyone writes in the comments saying, "Lol, dream a buildingception much, man," I mean that probably won't happen because it's quite an old meme now, isn't it? And I'm not very down with the kids. I'm not very up to date about what the hottest memes are. I used to, but then I took an arrow to the knee. Oh, what a smooth reference there. Anyway, let's talk about the actual footage. We're building a fast food restaurant here. It's the Chief Beef Restaurant. So for this one, I've got the stand, the actual shop part itself on the outside. And then visitors have the option of coming inside the little building and sitting on some indoor seating. And there's some toilets and stuff inside as well. Now, a lot of this, especially like I was saying earlier about not knowing the shortcuts, a lot of the earlier episodes can be building things and basically working against Planet Coaster's building tools. Like, they're incredibly diverse, but they're also a little bit restrictive in sometimes quite frustrating ways. So it's just me trying to overcome and trying to figure out how best to approach scenarios in order to build the stuff that I want to build. I mean, if you want to see a good builder, check out someone like Silver Rat. I mean, if you watch any Planet Coaster at all on YouTube, then you'll definitely know who that guy is. He makes some pretty insane things, actually. It's the point where it's actually quite depressing to play this game. I'm just like, I build something that I spend hours on, just think, this is just terrible. And then I just go on YouTube and see Silver Rat saying, so guys, I just thought I'd make like a little toilet in the middle of nowhere. And it's like this amazing, intricate work of like masterpiece Renaissance. Like, go stop making us all feel bad, man. No, I love that guy's work. Anyway, so I just kind of used the geometric shapes to build some small tables here and some benches. It doesn't look that great, but I mean, it's going to be under a roof anyway, so no one's going to see it unless you swoop down there. And well, not much more to say about that, really. So most of this footage is going to speak for itself, really. We'll probably build a few more buildings inside this Emporium before working on other things, but it's looking pretty good so far. One thing I'd really like them to add to this game, aside from obviously the ability to add coasts, is the ability to have some sort of floor, even if it's just like roller. You can see me, that's what I'm talking about adding signs, not really realizing that if you press V, it just makes it flush automatically. What was I talking about? Yeah, being able to build a floor. I know you can place roof tiles inside, but they don't really work that well as floors because you can't get it completely flush with the ground. An example of how I could see them doing it well is in looking at how Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 did it. And obviously, Frontier, the guys that make Planet Coaster, also made Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I know the team has probably changed a little bit since then, but some things I'm just like, why would you take that out? And the ability to add floors is one of them. Like in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, you could paint the ground, like textures, like you can in this game. But some of the textures were like artificial tiles. So like concrete slabs was one, and you would just paint the ground concrete slabs. If that like a concrete slab texture, and that would be the floor for indoor spaces. That would, why can't we do that? I know maybe something to do with Planet Coasters has a sort of more of a, I want to say gradient. What's the word? Where it's not you can't do sudden transitions. It's not got a universal grid like Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 does. So maybe there's some logistic things there, but there must be. I'm sure they can figure out a solution. Anyway, so here we got some more generic stands. There's no indoor seating area for this bit. We're just making a small building here, just the drink shops. I kind of got most of the ones all into this one little complex. So, well, no, I think the footage speaks for itself, really. So I didn't bother actually building in any kind of scenery that would be hidden from view, because it's hidden from view, it's out of sight, out of mind. You can just use your imagination and just assume there are kitchens and storage chambers and staff rooms and things in the space between the shops. Anyway, oh my god, what was I going to say? Oh yes, since finishing this park, and a few days ago actually, from me sitting down to record this commentary, the Planet Coaster Summer Update rolled around, which added a few features, the main one being fireworks. And I'm acutely aware that I have 15 hours worth of footage for this park that I have to condense down into commentary episodes and release them all. So I'm assuming that between now and the final episode coming out, there's probably going to be a few more updates or UI tweaks or things. So if you ever wonder why your game looks different or why I'm missing features or why I didn't add XYZ, it's probably because it came out. Just check your version number, because it could just be a feature of a later version that I'm not using. Anyway, here we are building the second building. This is similar to, as in a second building with an indoor interior. That's very similar to Chief Beef, but it's just a different food shop. So there's going to be 2 stores, one for food, one for drink, and then we'll have a little toilet area again. And there we go. So you can see in the background, I have the carousel there. In the end, I got rid of that and just had some nice seating area just to be a food plaza. And we'd have the rides outside instead, because we've already got a roller coaster indoors. And I just feel that we don't really need that many indoor rides, do we? I kind of wanted this to more be about the shops and just have bigger rides on the outside. And, you know, if you're on the carousel, what can you actually look at? Just the backs of some fast food chains and, you know, the stands of the roller coaster, when you could have it outside and see the world and have the wind blowing in your face, and it would probably just be nicer. So yeah, what was I talking about before I kind of got into the tangent of talking about this building? Something what did I want to cover in this video? There was talking about version updates. Oh yes, the other one was, like I mentioned earlier, there is 15 hours worth of footage here, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to condense that down into a watchable amount of episodes. I'm sure there is a number of you that would just love to watch an uncut 15-hour commentary of me for one episode, but I think that's only a very small number of people that will actually be able to tolerate my insufferable commentary style for that long. And also, I don't think I could really... I mean, I'm very, very good at rambling and talking about absolute nonsense and nothing for hours on end, but I think 15 hours non-stop would be pushing it, even for someone of my incredibly low standards. So I'm trying to figure out the best way. I'm trying to think of a good length for these episodes as well. I think 20 to 30 minutes would be a good thing to aim for. Is this too much? Would 10 minutes be a more appropriate length? Because I don't want to... I could easily make them 10 minutes, but then I feel like not a lot would happen in each episode because I'm only condensing so much down. So this is kind of a weirder episode because I was doing the terraforming and building sort of the more mundane things like the bridge going into the park, which I guess that wasn't mundane, but it wasn't like me building a roller coaster and testing it, which would be quite exciting to watch. So maybe in this park there's 3 really, really big roller coasters that will probably have their own episodes focused on them. There's an episode, probably do an episode of, there's like a couple of smaller roller coasters. There's a big indoor roller coaster that could probably have its own episode. So I think I'm going to be figuring a lot of this out as I go along, really. But I would really, like I said, really appreciate your feedback in the comments. If there is a YouTuber who makes really good Planet Coaster videos that I might not have heard of, then just, you know, let me know who he is or who she is. You know, I'm open to all genders. Let me know who they are. Would probably be the best word to use there, and I'll check them out and see. Oh yeah, that's actually a much more sensible way of laying out videos. Anyway, so we've done the actual layout of the Emporium. Now we need to build the walls and the windows. So we could use the window pieces, but they're not very good because you can't actually see through them. They're transparent. No, not transparent, opaque. And we want them to be transparent. So I'm making my own windows out of sort of door pieces and things. So we can just do a very rough sketch of the layout we want, and then we can just add some fascias and decorative pieces to make it a little bit more attractive and, you know, easier on the eye. So this was a lot of trial and error and playing around, trying to find shapes that work. So I tried my best to cut out as much of the filler as I possibly could, and I went through quite a few iterations of different designs before I finally settled on one I liked. I went with kind of I built this sort of square out of the brick pieces, then added that white square using the wooden pillars, and then I accented it using the brick fascias as well as some white fence pieces to add some sort of, you know, peripheral window frame. I guess there was, obviously you do run the risk of overbuilding things if you end up going too crazy with adding lots of decorative pieces to walls, but I think this struck a nice balance of looking decorative but not so ostentatious that it ends up being completely overbuilt. So I think I managed to strike an okay balance. So I don't know. Maybe you guys will beg to differ. I don't know. So yeah, the idea is we build one and then just copy and paste it across, because I ain't going to be building this all this time. A, because I'm never going to get the same positioning right. So it's going to look all asymmetrical, and also because I'm far too lazy for that, as is I think any sane person. So we're just going to duplicate some of the lower level and then just paste it up till we can add the upper floor. Obviously, I want this to be higher than just 2 stacks of windows, but I don't want it to just be layers upon layers of the same thing, because that's end up going to looking quite monotonous. So we can add the sides to be the same up to the top, and then we'll change the wall up for the middle for this upper floor, just to help break up the pattern and make the thing look different, I guess. I hope all of that made sense. Right, yes. Going back to talking about the footage then. So we have this sort of red brick flanking a nice white plaster. I thought would look like a nice sort of clash. And you can see it's going to be featuring these white archways, which A, look nice. They're kind of a nice different kind of window piece to have. But also they allow things like roller coaster track and or open the possibility of things like monorails to be built going through them. So things can pass into the, what's this building called? Pass into the Emporium easily. So anyone that follows me on Twitter, this was months ago, mind, anyone that follows me on Twitter will have seen that I actually already have built I posted a picture of me building the roller coaster that I made to go through these archways. That was horrendous. That was horrendous phrasing. I built a roller coaster that goes through these archways, of what I was trying to say during that sentence. It was a launched roller coaster. It shoots through one archway and then comes back through the other archway. With room to spare. I didn't need to disable scenery collision or anything. And you can see I added that golden coaster king as well, just to add a sort of nice wall piece to the wall. For the eagle-eyed among you, and those that play this game a lot more than I do, you will have noticed that that's actually a fountain piece, and he actually sprays water. And I didn't realise this till after I'd actually built the park and was cutting this footage together. I actually noticed he was spraying water. So hopefully it's a subtle enough thing that most people won't notice that he's probably not the most appropriate thing to have there, but either way, let's not get too. Well, I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. Maybe because I'm trying to stall, because there's way too much footage for me to talk about relevant things the whole time, guys. Give me a break. Right. What can we talk about now? You may have noticed I deleted a lot of that roller coaster track just to make room for the walls. I could have disabled scenery collision, as I said earlier, in order to just build the walls around it, and then delete all the parts that collided or shift things as and when. But I thought it'd be far. I think it would just be easier just to let the game decide if things are going to collide, and just delete the track and then rebuild it. So there's absolutely there's complete clearance with things. So I just had to remove one of the windows there to allow this track to pass through. But with a bit of tweaking, I was able to get it to pass through these archways, or one of the archways, with no problem. So we can just swing it through there and then join it back up to the track to finish the ride. So it's not a particularly exciting ride, this junior one, which is why I didn't really talk about too much of the building process of that or any of the thought process behind it, because there really wasn't any thought that went into the design. It was just basically building a gentle little roller coaster that would go inside the building. It's designed for kids, so it doesn't really need to be that exciting or fast or thrilling, really, but here I am testing it. I'll let you guys watch it at fast speed, because it's far more exciting to watch it in fast motion than it was in real time. But there we go. You see, this building is really coming together now. So we do need to work on the roof for this thing, but I'm just checking a few final features before we end up putting the roof over it, just because it can make things a little bit harder when it comes to getting the camera inside the building. So the first drop could do with a bit of improving, as in it could be made bigger, just so we build up a little bit more speed to speed the rest of the ride up, because we ended up going a little bit slowly for the rest of the track. So just by increasing the size of the first hill, we can solve that. The problem with the junior coaster is that you can't really make the hills that steep, so you can never build up that much speed. But, we could probably do a little bit better than what we had at the moment. So we still have that carousel there. It will go eventually, I promise, and be replaced with a far more mundane seating area. But the problem is that we have to have that bare stone as the floor. We can't just have floor tiles. So that's why I say it would be nice to be able to have actual floor tiles. Anyway, I'm going to skip ahead for a bit, because I'm just clearly just rebuilding the track over and over again, and I can tell you for a fact it never changes much. So we'll skip ahead to what is hopefully something a little bit more interesting. We're just doing a very quick overview of the shops, played at very fast speed. If you want to get a better view of that, you could just pause it, I suppose. At the end of this series, there will be I was about to say craft file. There will be a park download, or at least a link to the Steam Workshop save download in the description of the video, but I'm keeping my cards close to my chest until this whole thing is filmed and finished, because I like the surprises to be left as surprises, really. So yeah, we are. So we deleted the carousel and we're just doing the indoor seating area. So I took one of the chests, like chest pieces, to act as a table, and then we're just using some generic seating to actually function as, well, the seating. So I'm not sure how I feel about Planet Coaster's pathing system. At the one hand, it's quite nice being able to make curved paths, but at the same time, it just does feel like you're fighting it a lot of the time. So I don't know. Anyway, on to one of the other buildings. This is just a very simple, quick and dirty first aid centre. I wasn't really sure how necessary first aid centres were. Do they need to be at the exit of roller coasters like in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3? I don't know, and I'm far too lazy to actually Google it for myself to find out. But this was a very quick and dirty, very simple building. Just a nice simple square. We can add some fascias to one side just so the roof doesn't look too asymmetrical. A lot of me, especially in the early episodes, like I say, a lot of it is me just trying to find out where everything is and how to use the menu system properly. I mean, yeah, I could search, but in my head it would be faster to scroll through, but then as I spend longer and longer trying to find the piece I want and end up failing at that. Yeah. And also, this is like the first park where I've really put a lot of effort and focus into actual building scenery. Like my other Planet Coaster video, I mainly used trees as a way of getting around having to design buildings. I didn't actually use any buildings of my own design. I only used either prefab things that came in the game, or I just downloaded a couple of workshop items. But not this time. This time I wanted to actually be able to focus a lot more of my time onto actually building scenery that was unique to this park. I don't know. I wanted to just give the building system a chance, which is why, even though I've played before starting this park, I had about 18 hours worth of playtime in Planet Coaster. I'd never really used the building or scenery editor before, so that is why a lot of the earlier episodes are me getting to grips with the actual, system itself. Yeah, but overall, no, I really like Planet Coaster. It's one of the best games I've ever played. I don't know. I imagine most people on this channel would at least appreciate, even if you don't like the game itself, you'd appreciate the aspects of creativity in games. That's always been my favourite kind of genre of game, I think, just the creativity one. So I grew up playing things like Theme Park World and Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and then Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Mainly theme park simulators, come to think of it. No, but there are others as well, like Evil Genius was another really good, quite underrated game, I think, as well. It's where you play as a Bond villain, and you're designing this big underground lair in the side of a mountain. Oh, so fun. But then on the flip side, I never liked creative games, but playing them, like, in the career mode. Like, I just got cities, like, having to manage a budget, I never really found fun. Like, I've put hours and hours into Evil Genius, and they always just cheated loads of money in so I could just design the base how I saw fit, and that was the most fun playing the game. And like, I've got hundreds of hours in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. I've maybe put about 3 hours into the campaign mode and then just gone back to Sandbox. I mean, look at my Kerbal Space Program channel. I have no career mode videos. I have a couple of my very early 2015 SSTOs. I did the mission around a contract in career mode, but I basically just cheated through career mode until I got a contract that matched up to the video I wanted to make, and then just filmed like an introductory scene using it. So it wasn't even filmed in career mode. So I don't know why. I think I don't like being told what to do by a game. And that's why I've bought a city. I'm sure there is a way of getting cheating money into Cities Skylines to make it so there is essentially a sandbox mode. But that's one of the things I've not been able to get into Cities Skylines too well. Like, I just start out with building this amazing intersection so the motorway can join into my city, and I'm like, oh, I've immediately run out of funds because I spent the entire thing building the road entrance to the city. And then there's no way of raising more funds because you haven't built any assets that can raise money. So then you got to build just really crappy infrastructure and things just so you can scrape together money. Like, no, I want to just build something cool, man. Let me have my fun. And like, I always loved like art and things growing up. And I have a couple of speed drawings on this channel. And I even have that YouTube channel, Twisted Prism, that very popular internet sensation in which I made Photoshop drawings and artwork and things. I think the thumbnail for Junior Attacks, the Junior Attacks movie, was on there. And that video did quite well. I think it's now about 450,000 views. It's one of the more popular Kerbal videos out there, and I think a lot of that was down to the thumbnail. I don't know what it is about the thumbnail. I just really like the way that came out. Although that being said, I did prefer Expedition Eve's thumbnail, and that one didn't do quite as well. But I always expected Juno Attacks to be the more popular of the two because it's so silly and action oriented and things, whereas Expedition Eve I kind of made more for myself just to experiment with cinematography and things. And I am now working on the follow-up to the two, which kind of wraps the whole story up, because obviously both films ended with a little tease, and that is going to come to a head in the final one. And I hope the final one to be what I'm hoping it will be is a sort of amalgamation of Juno Attacks and Expedition Eve, as in the action and the sort of tongue-in-cheek tone of Juno Attacks, but with the cinematography and overall production value of Expedition Eve. None of the production value, incidentally, of this series, because then it would be absolutely awful. I think we can all agree. No, I shouldn't undersell my products, my content. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what kind of. I'd love to see what. I really would like to hear you guys' feedback. I know people say on YouTube, say it all the time, like, I really want to hear you guys' feedback on this. I really do, because I worked really hard on this park, and I'm really unsure as to what the best method of presenting it is. Like, this is a much more casual commentary style. Like, I never script my commentaries, but this has a much more loose and unscripted feel to it, I think. So, anyway, that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to cover today. We've built the Emporium and the little bridge, and we've done all the basic terraforming as well. Like I said, this episode is really just an introduction to the series. It's quite long, actually. We're now at 25:58 seconds, so probably start thinking about. I'm hoping about 20 minutes to be the next one. So next episode we'll be building the bigger roller coasters and doing more, actual theme park building. But anyway, regardless, like I said, I didn't want to do anything too sort of overwhelming or groundbreaking in this video, just in case this was a horrible way of presenting it, and so you guys could just let me know, and then I'll shake it up for the next episode. The reason there was no Kerbal video this week is because my PC was out of action, and I already had this footage recorded, so I could just make this without needing to use the PC. But I can confirm, you might have heard my phone buzz just then. I just checked it. It was an email. It was a delivery notification from UPS saying the replacement part is here. So I'm now going to go down to Bargain Booze, which is where all my parcels get sent, actually. They've got a pickup point there to pick up the part, and then we can get back to making Kerbal Space Program videos. So, any suggestions for Kerbal Space Program, leave them down below. I will check all the comments. I'd love to see who made it this far, actually. If you made it this far, if you write down, what would a comment that nobody else would just naturally write? Write tomato farmers represent. And I will love the comment, as in put the little heart next to it if you write that. I mean, if this is like 2 years ago, and you're watching this in 2019 even, wow, the years have gone by fast, then obviously I'm not going to love it. But within the first couple of weeks, I'll check if anyone writes that in, I'll love it. And, if that means anything. I would like to see, I just want to know if this length of video is too long, and if people actually watch this length. Anyway, I've been rambling on way too long now, so I'm just going to end it now. On screen now, top left is my previous Planet Coaster video, top right is my Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 video, the first one I made, and the bottom right is my other Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 video, and that's probably my favourite theme park video I've made out of all of them, so I hope you check that out, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it, actually.